So now you've got these great jobs that you want to apply to, so the next step is drafting the perfect resume. Really, you should think about this as a marketing tool that really showcases your impact, your performance, and your work history. So you may have noticed we did not do the resume first. You look at the jobs, find the descriptions, and identify your skills first. You do not want to just create a resume, there you go, and send it along. No, no, no. That is the old way of doing it. The new way is identifying those jobs, and then you want to tailor and custom make every single resume, even slightly, for that job and for that employer. Even tweaking it, improving it, customizing it ever so slightly can give you that competitive edge. So now, one of my favorite parts, the anatomy of the perfect resume. In fact, there are 9 elements that you should consider, and we're going to go through all of them right now. So number 1 in all of this, know that design does matter. So don't go too tricky or flashy with design or graphics. You don't want too much word clutter or too much white space either, but some good rules to keep in mind is margins of 0.7, and then also your font size. Keep it about 11, nothing smaller. 12, that could be okay. So number 2, when drafting your resume, be reachable. And put this near the top. So on your resume, you may have your name at the top, and then you want certain points too so that you can be contacted by the employer. I definitely recommend including a valid and professional email address. This could include your first name dot last name at an email address. I also do suggest including your phone number. Today's recruiters are calling you still or even texting you. In addition to your email and your phone number, I also recommend including your address, the street, and the city. This lets the employer know where you are. By including this, you're just being more transparent about yourself. You're letting them know if you are in their city or if perhaps you are someone who might require relocation. A great tip too is ditch the personal objective statement. I feel very strongly about this one. No employer cares that you want the job. In fact, by applying to it, it's actually a bit redundant. They know that. What they want is what you can deliver for them. These next 2 things are really the meat and potatoes of your resume. Number 1, show off your skills. I definitely recommend an area or even a box that highlight your technical skills, your job functionality skills, and your soft skills. So this, refer to that document that you've already compiled earlier in this course. Don't list everything. Look at the skills that are most relevant for the job you're applying to. Use keywords. You want to incorporate that resume with the keywords, at least some of them, that you see in the job description. It is true that many employers do use technology to screen resumes that seem to be a good fit before they go on to an actual human person. So incorporate some keywords in there so it gets past that automated point. And then the next thing that's really core to your resume here is list your experience. Here, you do want to highlight your experience at where you're working, where you've previously worked, and then include some bullet points under each of them highlighting what you actually did. Next, you also want to highlight your accomplishments rather than your responsibilities. And when you do so, you really want to use proactive action verbs. So, for instance, I launched this, I led this, I exceeded, I was responsible for X and Y. This really allows you to quantify what you've done and how you've made an impact, and that's what today's employer wants to know. However, note, you want to put more bullet points, provide more insight into your most recent work. In fact, you may even need no bullet points on a job 10 years ago, maybe a couple bullet points on a job from a few years ago, and then more, maybe 5 bullet points on your current job. Number 5, also really important. You want to quantify your success. Quantify your experience. So this means actually using numbers and that proactive language to show what the result was, what you actually did, what led to something that was so amazing. So let's say you are a store manager in retail. How many sweaters, sweatshirts did you sell at a very busy time? You can quantify that in numbers. If you are a writer, how many clicks or articles are you pumping out per month? There are numbers behind almost every job. Just look for it and use it. Number 6 here is include other roles. In fact, do not be afraid to include roles outside of what you currently do. In fact, what you did there or how you did it, how you can quantify your success is probably somewhat related to the job you're going for. So look for those nuggets of information. People out there looking for a career or job transition, ding, ding, ding. This one is for you. You've got to look at related roles or even very different roles, but then look at what you did in that role that relates back to the job description and include that. Number 7 here, get the grade. So what this means is there are so many jobs out there that require or highly desire a certain certification or something that makes you eligible to actually get that job. List them, put them there, and make the employer know what you've done. That great education that you got, where you went to college, well, put it at the bottom, unless you are a current college student or a recent graduate. In those 2 cases, you can put it at the top. Number 8, add the extra stuff. I like to call it the extra sauce. Not near the top, but likely near the bottom of your resume. What volunteer organizations, clubs, charities, sports activities have you done and accomplished that actually have skill sets that relate to the job? I wouldn't count on this information to actually get you the job, but when there are several good resumes out there, these are some of the facets that can actually make you stand out and you suddenly go from good to great. And finally, number 9 here, keep it concise. So as we said, try and keep that resume to 1 page. When in doubt, leave it out. The truth is, in about 90% of the cases, you should be able to fit all of your career highlights, what you've done, and what's made an impact in 1 page. That is the truth. Don't make an employer work harder. So if you wrote something or someone says, I'm not sure if you need this, and you're wobbling, you're not really convinced you need it, get rid of it. Now, there will be times when you can start to go beyond 1 page. How do you know when to do that? Well, typically when you have about 15 years experience across most industries, or you start reaching that mid-level point in your career, such as a director level job title or above, then yes, you're gonna have more things to potentially highlight, more work history, more related content and features to serve up to that employer to explain. And one of the final steps is ask for advice. Do not be cocky. I know you have great skills and you think what you're putting together is amazing, and it probably is, but why not make it even more amazing than that? So if you have to stand out from the pack, ask your friends, ask colleagues, ask mentors to look at your resume and give some really good constructive feedback, what they like about it, but also maybe where you could improve. And then edit, edit, edit. So now that we've walked through the anatomy of the perfect resume, I really want to go through some questions that I get asked all the time. One very popular question that I get is this one. If I have a really bad job experience or I get fired from a job, what do? Do you leave it on your resume or do you leave it off? The truth is, with this one, you want to let transparency guide you to determine if you leave it on or leave it off. What I mean by that is be honest, be transparent, but also be relevant. So if it has a relevance to your current job, leave it on. If it was a really long time ago, or let's say it was a side gig in between jobs, but maybe it just doesn't have that skill set related to this job, then that's okay to leave off. But if someone says maybe there was a gap in your history, or they asked, hey, I heard you had this job, but it's not on your resume, nothing wrong with that. Just be prepared to answer. Here's another popular question. Will I get caught lying on your resume? Well, the truth is we may never know, but again, you should assume that you will. You don't want to start off a potential job or potentially start off with a company on a foot of lying or embellishing something. Be honest, be transparent. That is how you will get the right job for you. So the next popular question that I get is, how do I explain a gap in my work experience? So if you take off 5 months or 5 years, but it's not on your resume, what do? Okay, in that case, again, let honesty and transparency guide you in how you deal with the situation. So even if you're out of the job market at any stage for a few months, no need to mention that. No need to put it on your resume. If they get asked why, well then let them know. Maybe you just wanted a break. Maybe you spent more time with your family. Maybe you went traveling. All of that is okay, just let them know. However, if you have a chunk of, let's call it 5 years, something significant, and then you're looking to re-enter the workforce, there's nothing wrong with including about 1 sentence, maybe midway down or near the end, that explains, I was out of the workforce for 5 years due to X, Y, and Z. 1 to 2 sentences tops. Wrapping up here, you also have access to your resume checklist. So we've gone through all these steps, but don't worry, all you have to do is just download the resume checklist, and this should act as your guide when drafting your perfect resume that I know will get you that good job.